Hi, everybody. So for my project, I basically created a self-care zine for students that's called Mind, Body, Soul. And where I started was back in 2022 when I did a CDAP cohort. And the intervention was really focused on education equity in North St. Louis. And me and Deja designed like a similar resource guide for students. And it was supposed to be for high school students at Vashon. And some of the things that we wanted to incorporate were like safe spaces for them that were like local Black-owned businesses in St. Louis, nature trails they could visit, other nonprofits that support youth in need. We had like financial tips and opportunities for self-reflection. This is another little introduction. My name is Mia again. I'd say I'm a redesigner for educational equity, creative, and just a aspiring social entrepreneur. So my zine, Mind, Body, Soul, is basically something that is going to help teens navigate their mental health, their mental health, their physical health, and their spiritual health in like a holistic way. So breaking it down a little bit for like the mind aspect, I wanted to include a vision board, hormone hacking, which is like, what do I do if I want dopamine or serotonin, stuff like that, and then affirmations, and also for your body, like yoga, breathing exercises, tips about your sleep, your gut health, water, exercise, stuff like that. And then soul was, I did ikigai, which is like trying to explore what your passions are in life, and then journal prompts, and then a self-love activity. My audience is high school students, and I think we're really just like teens in general, because I think everybody in that age group can benefit from it. And it's just a way to navigate all these different things. And it has a lot of different opportunities to explore it for different people, because I know self-care really isn't one size fits all. So I did a lot of research, and from what I found, standardized testing really doesn't help kids like measure achievement, just based on your cultural experiences and how they grew up. And I think the Black experience is very like individual, and it doesn't always, you know, be taken into account whenever you're in the education system. And just from that data, they say like there's typically one standard deviation in scores from Black children versus white children in reading and math. And part of the fight to like help like close this achievement gap is really focused on culturally relevant pedagogy, which I think is a process that teachers are trying to figure out how to implement just based on so many other factors. Just dealing with like trying to navigate like the trauma and, how do we connect with these students? But I think a really prominent issue is the fact that like 1 in 5 teens, in that age range are going to suffer from at least one mental health disorder. So part of my research, this was back in 2022, kind of just like set the foundation for what I'm trying to do now. But we interviewed therapists like Casey Smart. We talked to anthropologists, we talked to teachers, like principals, friends, community members. And, we really found a lot of the same things, but it was just, there's so many problems that you can address, and a lot of them you don't have the power to. So it's really like a lot of it is like, this is a funding issue, or this is a cultural aspect and like connecting. And so, yeah, that's pretty much what we found out. yeah, like I said, from that, I had a lot of ideas that I wanted to address, but um, you know, all these things that like I want to help and create this equitable space. It just I think it could be really overwhelming just from my other zine, and it had a lot of aspects. So I really wanted to focus more on mental health because that's something that I can relate to too, and just have the power to educate other students on. So that's kind of where I started, but I also want to expand and do other zines that do include stuff like financial tips and job help and stuff like that. So our first round of prototyping, I did a workshop with kids 5 to 13 at a summer camp that I used to work at. And Deja and Robert, helped with this. So we can watch a little video.
I hate school. And then it's hard, because everything in school is pretty hard. Especially because I'm going to the 6th grade. Tiring, for sure. Stressful. It's just stressful because, well,
They just give you a lot of homework,
yeah,
and not a lot of time.
And anxiety because everybody like has eyes on you and stuff, so it's kind of scary, I guess. And dress code. Nobody does it, but it's a thing. And no shoes. Because in my school, my old school, I guess, they could take our shoes.
Why?
So because we go to gym and we have lockers and we put our shoes in there, the train shoes, they would just take the shoes.
Yeah, they're really funny. Like, I think they really enjoyed the activity. A lot of them just went on to explain, oh, I don't like school and like the food's bad, and oh, my favorite part is the first day and the last day. And he goes on to say, oh, I like ISS and going home or something, or like the bus ride because all my friends are in there and whatever. So they were funny, but I thought that was a cool little experiment. We also, like, once we finished our zine, we got to test it and receive feedback from some Creative Reaction Lab employees. Shout out Antoinette, Maya, Sarah, Rob, Kat, Tebra. I forgot some other people, but y'all know who you are. And then from our resource guide, I just wanted to make it more cohesive and intentional. So, and I just put it together in mind, body, soul, and that's where I'm starting now. So really, I would say it's like a guide to navigating, the interconnectedness of what mind, body, soul means. And I think it's just a healing practice that goes together. And I think it's the best way to approach it. And it's really just to help encourage teens to shift their mindset and be able to take control and responsibility for their actions. Because I think in educational spaces, there's this lack of like respect, and they don't have a lot of control over things. So when it is like about yourself and just being able to culture self-discipline, I think that's really important. So I think that the scene is addressing the racial and health inequities because a lot of this information isn't told or accepted in the Black community. And I think this lack of information is contributing to the achievement gap, because whenever we feel safe and secure and confident in our bodies and our environments, that boosts our self-esteem, our self-preservation. And in order to culture these things, we have to recognize old patterns and begin to make new ones. And I have to make this more aesthetically pleasing, but I really wanted to talk about how important sleep is and like being properly hydrated, how like our guts are like our second brain, and really whatever you put into your body is just fueling you. So it's important to at least understand how these things work and are affecting you, so you can like show up at school and like be your best self and be able to learn and not already have this like bad attitude because you just you don't feel like equipped to even start. So something else I think people should know about.
There's only one vegan guy? That's a
So one thing I think people should know about our prototype is that holistic health is like an important part of my life, and it's helped me manage my own health issues. So I just wanted to share some of my knowledges and things that have helped me with like youth who really wouldn't, have ever had access to this information. So this is like a little worksheet from my zine. It just kind of like gets you to reflect on stuff like your habits. So I learned that, education equity is a really complex issue, and there's a lot of barriers to navigating it. And also that self-care is really not a one-size-fits-all approach. Next time, I really want to meet students of color where they are and just be very intentional about the intervention and just involve them in the process as much as possible, because I didn't really get a chance to, work with students very closely. So that's something that I think is important. Thanks, guys.